Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the Grumpy Gaming Weekend Podcast on the 14th of September. It's just us again. I feel like I can see a pattern happening here, Elliott. I feel like nobody wants to be on the show with us anymore.
Everyone hates us. It was when we were new, everyone was like, I want to play. And then it got to a point where you only messaged out for guests an hour before we start.
That definitely did happen this week again. Yeah, I did. But there were people that were like, yeah, I would come on, but I'm at work. And I'm like, yeah, I think we may need to have to do like a later episode one week where we record later, because we usually record around 5 o'clock.
Late night GGWP.
Yeah, we need to do it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe live.
No bleeping.
No bleeping. Oh God. Well, look, we're trying to not swear as much today. We'll see how long that one lasts.
I reckon I can do at least half of a podcast without swearing.
Do you think so? Should we try? Should we try to go for a clean edition of the GGWP? Should we like go clean?
I want to see who swears first. That would, I reckon, if it's a competition between me and you, we could potentially go the whole podcast without swearing.
All right, challenge accepted. We'll see. I really wanted to make a joke then. Like, I really wanted to swear and be like, challenge beep accepted, and just for the comedic purposes. But we actually are trying not to swear as much in this episode
because YouTube keep hiding us.
This is a joke. I actually last week's episode didn't do too badly considering we did swear. We used expletives in the very first minute of that video, so maybe it's not as bad as everybody says it is.
Not using expletives in videos.
Yes.
It was good times. Like, we are hypocrites at our core. We are hypocrites.
No, look, we're grown adults, but we're here to talk about video games. So, considering it's just me and you, we might as well introduce ourselves. You never know. People might not have been here before. So, Elliott, who are you? Why are you here? What do you do?
Hi, I'm Elliott. You can find me on the internet, normally under the guise of Blindside UK. I am a variety Twitch streamer. We play all sorts of games on my channel. At the moment, I'm playing Dark Souls on Mondays and Wednesdays. I've been playing South Park Fractured But Whole on a Friday.
Did that count as a swear? No, bot's not a swear.
It's on the cover of the game. It can't be a swear.
Yeah.
But if we were trying to stop swearing in the podcast, I can't show you any of the footage from that game during this podcast.
No.
The game is rife with all sorts of things that shouldn't be talked about.
Do you have any footage of the game prepared?
No.
No. I have a scene where we can show footage if I can be bothered to edit it in. I just need to know what games I can use it on. I'm going to use it later when we talk about Blasphemous, but carry on, continue.
I mean, I have VODs I can pull stuff from, but
should we just show it off? This is okay. You're about to watch either some footage of the game or just an empty big black space. So we'll see. We'll see if I had time to edit some footage.
You're about to watch maybe something.
Continue
it's
talking
the
about
GGWP version of a loot box.
Basically is, although don't talk about that because they are potentially getting banned now, and I really didn't want to talk about loot boxes yet again on the podcast, even though I really do.
I mean, they're the GGWP version of a Kinder Egg.
Oh, I changed the scene. We're talking about South Park now. Go.
South Park. I'm really enjoying it. It's a really good game. It's beautifully put together. I literally said while streaming it on my last stream that I wanted to meet the dev in person and just hand the money. That's how much I'm enjoying the game. It's really well put together. The combat's brilliant. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It does.
It really takes the soul of the series and puts it into a video game, which the Stick of Truth did a beautiful job of that too. But yeah, this is like, I'm really enjoying the experience. For anyone that hasn't played either game, the Stick of Truth, you play as a new kid in South Park, and they're playing a game where they're like
role playing characters. Yeah.
So they're all playing as like wizards and knights and things like that. And then in the second game, everyone's just gone like, oh, we're bored of playing knights and wizards now. We're going to play superheroes. And so now you're a superhero. It's very good. The jokes in it are fantastic. The settings, like, it's just the setting from the cartoon, but it's well crafted, well put together. And then the rest of the week, I've been playing a game that is also well crafted and brilliantly put together because I've been playing Stardew Valley. We did some late night Stardew on Tuesday and Thursday.
I missed it, unfortunately.
Also Thursday, I drank a whole bottle of red wine whilst playing Stardew Valley, which by the end of it, one of my mods is just like, yeah, how about we just raid someone and we'll just end the stream? Like,
your mods were protecting the chat from you. Is that what you're saying?
Legitimately, that's what because I said about it again, like the day after. I was saying about it. Oh yeah, we streamed last night, and I can't really remember. Like, we didn't hit natural end or anything. And one of my mods, Brendan, was just like, "Yeah, I was just like, you probably need sleepy time."
Mods, they protect us all. They protect us all.
I mean, my mods are fantastic. I've only got a couple because I'm a smaller channel, but like they do brilliant work. They're fantastic. Every time you get a raid or anything like that come in, they're always quick to shout out, quick to support like what's going on, saying hello to new people in the chat. Brilliant. Love my mods. They're the backbone of any Twitch community.
We all appreciate our mods, paid or otherwise. Could you imagine paying your mods? Could you imagine earning enough money from Twitch to actually be able to pay somebody?
I mean, I'll pay them, but it'll be like, it won't be a lot.
That would be amazing. How's Dark Souls going? You haven't really talked about Dark Souls this week. You look scared to talk about it. You're like, do I have to?
No, to be fair, Dark Souls is fine. I did have a bit of a Wednesday was a stream where I looked at the game in all of its glory and just went, why? Why did someone do this to me?
I mean, you did it to yourself.
No, so Bloodborne I enjoyed a lot. Sekiro I loved. Yeah. Sekiro was the best FromSoft game I've played out of the 3 that I've played. Dark Souls 1, I've basically hit an area now where there was just like a bit of a gauntlet that you have to like run through. There's 2 dudes with big heavy bows, and there's a very narrow walkway up the middle of it. And effectively, the way that you get through that area, or the easiest way to get through that area, is to try and get as close to the guy with a bow as possible. Well, one of the guys with bows, to get them to switch to a sword. And sometimes when they attack you, they will just fall off of the ledge you're on. Is like
you're trying to cheese it essentially.
It's very small. Yeah, but basically you probably could do it without cheesing it, but it's like 20 times harder.
Yeah.
So you run up all this stuff, you try and cheese it. If the cheese doesn't work, you're probably gonna die. And then you respawn, and then you run back up and you try and cheese it. And I was just like, I don't like this. Doesn't feel like good game design. It doesn't. It feels like I'm trying to make the game break, and if the game doesn't break, like it feels like an RNG kind of thing.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, the guy fell off a roof. You're able to get through to the next thing, and that's what you're waiting for. And I was just like, that's not what I want from a game. So I want a game where it goes
satisfying gameplay.
Here's a challenge. And if you can find a way to defeat this challenge, excellent. Which is what I loved about, like, all the way through Sekiro. It was like, here's a boss. Work out their attack pattern, work out a weakness, beat them with it. And you get to the end of it, and you're like, oh, I did it. I finally did it.
Yeah.
When I finally got past this section in the game, I wasn't sat there like, oh, an achievement. I feel like I've done stuff. I just went, oh, it's finally over. And then moved on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just wasn't ideal. But that's Dark Souls 1. Like, a lot of it is just, here's some stuff that isn't great, and you have to get through it. But we're moving on. I'm on a boss at the moment that's not much fun.
I mean, isn't that true of most of the bosses from Dark Souls?
I honestly haven't had too much fuss with most of the bosses, but this one is a boss called Orstein and Smaug, and there's 2 bosses. And when you kill one of the bosses, the other one goes to full health and absorbs their powers. And it's a bit like...
Yeah.
Though I did get one of the beautiful Twitch moments where I didn't know one of them absorbs the other one. So we got to the point where killed one of them off, got a cutscene, and I was like, who puts a cutscene in the middle of a boss fight? And chat just all starts going, he doesn't know, he doesn't know, he doesn't. And I looked at chat, and I looked at the screen and went, oh no.
Yeah.
And then bigger version of the other half of the boss that's really fast and now super big and hits harder. And I was just like, oh,
and
dear.
I'm assuming that if you were to say get one of the bosses down to 50% and then kill the other one, it still goes down to 100%. So
yes, it heals to full health.
Yeah, so there's this mechanic is in a lot of games. Enter the Gungeon has it. World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure has. Yeah, there's World of Warcraft. A couple of bosses do that in there as well in Ulduar. For anybody who's like, go on then, which boss in World of Warcraft? It was in Ulduar where you have the 3 Stonekeepers, whatever they're called. They do that. So yeah, like I guess that kind of the first time you play that boss, if you're naive or if you don't know the mechanics, I guess that like will stump a lot of people because they'll probably be like equally DPSing them both, and then they'll finally kill one and go, that was a mistake. But that's part of the journey of learning, right? That's what those games are all about. You learn and then you become better.
I'm all for being presented with challenges and having to learn how to overcome them. That's what I like in a video game. It's the like, oh, here's just a thing we've artificially made it difficult by just making it fiddly. And I'm like, no, don't want to play that. Thanks.
Speaking of difficult games and Dark Souls.
Have you been playing a difficult game that's a Dark Souls-like?
I have! A Souls-like. Kind of, sort of. I've been playing a game called Blasphemous. Cue the footage of Blasphemous that I recorded just before the podcast go. I haven't been playing a ton of it. I only bought it today, so I've been playing a couple of hours of it. And I don't want to say this, but the best way to describe it is like if Dark Souls and Dead Cells had a baby. It's very much like a mixture of the two, with elements of other games thrown in there as well. So it's essentially a Metroidvania or a Castlevania-like game where you are... I'm assuming it is, because there's definitely been some items that I'm like, I can't get that. It's too high. Like, I can't reach it.
I've seen it described as a Metroidvania, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming I'm going to be getting like a double jump later and I'll go back. But it has the Dark Souls bonfire mechanic, except in this one, you don't lose your... I don't even know what the currency is in this game. Tears, I think? Grief? Sorry, I don't know. You don't lose them if you die. But however, every time you die, you leave behind guilt. And if you don't go and collect that guilt, the game starts to get harder and punish you more. So it has those elements of Dark Souls, and it also has some of the elements of Dead Cells. It is a side-scroller. The combat feels kind of similar to Dead Cells, except at the moment I haven't unlocked much of the combat stuff, so I don't know if there's any other weapons. At the moment, I just have a sword. I can do like a charge attack, and there's a couple other things that I can do, but nothing really major yet. So I don't know how much sort of combat variety there is. However, in this one, there's a really interesting... I say it's interesting, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but there is a mechanic where you can parry attacks, and once you parry, you immediately counterattack. So you don't have to do the counterattack. The counterattack happens by itself, but if you hit the attack button at the right time during the counterattack, you will do like a special attack, the enemy becomes stunned, and then you can finish them off. And the finishing moves are so brutal, they are so satisfying to do. As an example, there's one guy who has a shield, just like in Dead Cells. He has a shield, and he moves forward and he pokes you with his sword. And if you counterattack him at the right time and you stun him, you literally just like stomp his shield onto his head and his head explodes. It's just, it feels so satisfying. But the game is really interesting. Again, I haven't really gotten far enough into the story of the game to fully understand what's going on yet, but it's very weird and interesting. Everybody in this game seems to be sort of obsessed with repenting for their sins almost. Everyone... there was this big event called the Miracle, and some people are saying that it saves the world, and other people are saying it's doomed the world, essentially, depending on your perspective, I guess. But everyone's kind of trying to repent for their sins, and you as the protagonist, especially, you are I forget the term that they use, but you are essentially, everyone knows you are repenting for your sins. I don't do religion, okay? I don't know the terms.
As I said, the description I've seen, your play as the penitent one.
That's it. You're the penitent one. So everybody knows you are repenting for your sins. And you have this like giant cone helmet on your head. And in one of the very first cutscenes, you essentially fill it up with the blood of the boss you've just slain and just dump it on top of your head. And I don't know, it's really like macabre and weird and interesting. It almost, and there's probably nobody watching this podcast has ever even heard of this game, but it almost a little bit reminds me of an old game called Sanitarium, which was this really weird little horror game that I played in like the 90s, which I played recently again on Steam, which is awesome, by the way. If you like weird horror, like, go play that. But it almost reminds me a little bit of that in a weird way, where everything seems to just be a little bit out of place. Like, everything seems to be just a little bit spooky. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool. I think you'd probably like it. It seems to be in your...
It's at least sounds like it's definitely in my wheelhouse. I saw it on Twitter. Twisty Shape, who was a guest on the podcast a while back, posted something about it, and he quote retweeted, or is it retweeting with a comment, whatever it is that you call it. But yeah, he retweeted it saying like, this game is amazing. But the tweet that it was that he retweeted said something like pixel perfect Dark Souls like combat.
Yeah.
And I was, from literally just that phrase, I was like, I can see myself picking this game up.
Yeah, it definitely is. It also has that element though. It's a bit slower paced than Dead Cells. I will say that. Like Dead Cells, you can go very, very fast paced if you want to. With this one, you have a slide ability, which is essentially your dodge ability. However, you are locked into attack animations, so you have to time properly. And if you get greedy with your hits, just like in Dark Souls, you will get punished for it. Especially when it comes to the bosses. Now, I have beaten, I believe, 2 bosses. Again, I'm not that far into the game. I've beaten 2 bosses. The first boss is super easy. It's the first thing you fight. It's literally like, here is the game, go. And then the second boss was a little bit more challenging. It took me like 4 goes to beat him, honestly. It wasn't that bad. However, there is an easy mode. I don't...
Controversial.
I know. But here's the thing. I actually don't know what it does, though. Because there was a person who essentially is like, hey, I'm here, I can give you a blessing, but it's your choice. Do you want the blessing or do you not want the blessing? And I didn't take the blessing because it was implying heavily that this was going to make the game easier. And then I was like, no, I don't want the blessing. So I haven't. So I don't actually know. And if anyone watching this podcast, if you know what it is, let me know in the comments. As long as it's not a story spoiler or anything, let me know in the comments what easy mode does.
As you were saying it, I was like, oh, I kind of want to look it up, but I don't think I will.
I don't know, because I'm playing the game. I wanted the challenge. I was in the mood for a challenging little platformer game. So
in the mood for a challenge.
Yeah, I was like, I do get in the mood for challenges now again, which is why I played Witcher 3 on Death March, just because I was in the mood for a challenge then. It's like, it's not always that I'm in the mood to play a difficult game, but I do, you know, like it's why I'm enjoying WoW Classic as well. I like the challenge of that. I just tend to not stream a lot of challenging games because I like to hang out and chat with my chat a lot, which makes it hard to play a challenging game and chat, I find.
Yeah, as someone that keeps getting caught into the loop of streaming from software games, I can completely relate to that statement.
Yeah, exactly.
There are moments when it's very easy just to...
Yeah.
There's times when you can kind of like, okay, here's a little bit where I can stop, gather myself, and sometimes it's quite useful if you're getting frustrated with a section, you die, you go back to bonfire, you can turn to chat and you can like, you have a little stretch, you just center yourself a little bit, and then you can talk to chat for a bit, and it's quite a good cover for stopping yourself feeling like you just have to run back head first into that wall. And sometimes that can really help. It's quite nice.
Absolutely. But like I say, I have only played probably about an hour and a half of the game. I really enjoyed what I played so far, and I want to play more. If I can get the podcast edited in time tonight, I'll probably play a bit more of it tonight. Or I'll just carry on playing Classic WoW. Who knows? I'm literally only level 20 on Classic WoW. That's how slowly I've been playing it. I barely get a chance to play it, but I'm really enjoying it still. I'm enjoying just the nostalgia and the fun of it.
I'd already, I think 2 weeks ago I hadn't started.
Yeah.
And last week, within the period of between those two, I'd started it, got fed up, quit.
I definitely haven't. I just
wasn't ideal.
I cannot find time to play. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing this week. We were going to try Blair Witch again, but the more I hear about the game, the less I'm really that bothered that I couldn't get it to work all that well. I've heard I've heard it's not all that great. I've heard it's not very scary, and I heard it drags on a lot, which those two things are not really what I want in a horror game, if I'm going to be honest. But I will give it a chance, knowing that it's not that scary. I'm a little bit less excited about it, because anybody who knows me and knows my channel knows that I really enjoy a horror game, and I like horror games to be quite scary. I don't need them...
I like horror games to be within the horror genre.
I do. I like them to be good at their one job. But I can forgive a horror game if it's not that scary, if it has like a really interesting story. You know, like, I mean, games like The Last of Us, right? The Last of Us isn't that scary. There's a couple of bits, but it's not really scary, but I loved it because of the story. So if a horror game has a really interesting and cool story, then I can forgive it not being as scary. But then I've heard that this game just sort of drags. I believe, and this is from watching Angry Joe's review of the game, I believe the game is more focused about the protagonist's PTSD than anything else, which, okay, as a sort of side plot, great, but it doesn't really paint the picture for me of a horror game, and that's more like what it was marketed as.
Thriller area, like exactly. A bit like Hellblade, like where it's going through her psychosis.
Yeah, but Hellblade was a brilliant example of that. It wasn't marketed as a horror game. You know, if they'd have marketed Hellblade as a horror game, I would have been very disappointed with it, even though I really enjoyed Hellblade. I thought Hellblade was great. But I feel like this is another case of a game just being a little bit mismarketed. Like, it very much, Blair Witch was a horror movie. It was horror, it was scary, it was tense, and this game so far hasn't been that for me. Bearing in mind, I only got about an hour into the game before I had to stop due to crashes, but every review or everything I've heard about it just seems to paint the picture that it's not really all that effective. You see monsters, which are interesting, but then the whole time you're with a dog, which a lot of people are saying one of the best parts about that game is the dog and the interaction between you and the dog. However, one of the most scary things about most horror games is that you're usually isolated. You know, being isolated is one of the most terrifying things. It's like picture any horror game, like any good, effective, scary horror game. You never have an AI character with you. It's very rare that you do, you know? So I don't know. I don't really have the motivation to play it more, but I guess I'll give it a chance. But that's pretty much all I've been playing this week, really. That's all I've
Blasphemous. Are you capping the footage from that, or have you just got some for the podcast?
I have some footage for the podcast, and I don't know what I want to do with it yet. I don't know whether I want to stream it or whether I want to make an actual YouTube video on it, because
I'm just interested to see, because it doesn't sound like the kind of game where like going in blind is really going to change anything. I'm interested to see it before I try before you buy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure whether I want to do a YouTube video. I'm definitely going to make some content on it because it is very interesting and I like it. Oh, by the way, the art style is gorgeous. It's pixel art.
The art style looks fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm not as bothered about the art style as other things, but I do appreciate a good art style. And it is all pixel graphics, but it's very good pixel graphics. It's not hard on the eyes. Some pixel graphics can be very hard on the eyes, and this isn't. Everything's well animated. The animations for the finishing moves and things like that are brutal. And there's some weird stuff in this game. Like, there is some weird stuff.
Ooh, Blasphemous is on the Switch. That might be a Switch. It might be a Switch pickup.
Oh, I'd have bought it on the Switch. No, it's fine. I've got it on PC. But if I'd have known, I bought it on the Switch, man.
Oh, I wonder if it's the same price. Is it bad if I check prices on my Switch whilst we podcast?
No, you check away because I'm also interested. But yeah, so that's Blasphemous. So far from what I've played of it, I recommend it if you're into those kind of genres. We'll see how long it is. I'm not expecting it to be mega long. It is currently on Steam for I think about £18, so it's not an expensive game. So I'm not expecting 30 hours or whatever. So
unless of course your Switch has to update, in which case you can't check.
Unlucky. I mean that's what you get for getting the grey version and not the red and blue, because
the grey version is clearly super. I want to get a case for it.
Yeah.
There's a streamer I watch and she has like a Skyrim hard case. It's like a little poly one.
Yeah.
But like it looks beautiful, and also I worry endlessly about dropping my Switch.
I really like the new Switch Lite yellow because it's obviously my branding color. Everything is yellow. But
that was a very quick update.
Oh.
But I'm already done. I
don't want to buy another Switch when I already have a Switch. Like I like the idea of the Switch Lite, but I don't need one because I have a Switch Heavy. I
have a friend who was talking about buying a Switch, and I basically said to him, like, I would hold out for the Switch Lite unless you're going to play it docked a lot. Obviously, like, I want to get a capture card so I can stream from the Switch.
I was going to say, this was another concern. I don't know if you can capture from a Switch Lite.
You can't dock it, and if you can't dock it, then you can't HDMI it, and if you can't HDMI it, you can't capture it.
Yeah. So, unless there's some form
you
of
would need
sell, but...
you would need some way of like doing it, like capping it remotely.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get on to the topics. It's another very light news week this week, isn't it? I mean, we've lost Elliott now to the Switch. He's
$17.99 on the Switch.
He's just playing playing Zelda. That's it. He's gone.
You say playing Zelda. Actually, before we move on, when we're talking like games we've been playing recently, I started playing a game called Oceanhorn. It's kind of Zelda clone-ish.
Okay, well, like old style Zelda.
It's really fun. It's like isometric. It's isometric 3D. You know, the new Zelda Link's Awakening that's coming out is similar to that.
Okay.
Slightly less cartoony graphics. Okay. Not realistic graphics, but not like the big bubble heads.
Yeah.
Because I played Link's Awakening at Insomnia. Beautiful game. It's not like cartoony graphics, but the game is it's Sword and Shield. It's isometric rather than straight on, but it's 3D.
Yeah.
You have a little boat, you sail island to island. Most of the stuff's based on these islands. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good game. Definitely would recommend picking up anyone that is an older Zelda fan and likes little explory games. It's like a nice little game.
Nice. I will check it out. I'm always looking for games on my Switch for when I travel. For example, when we both go to EGX in October, which we have.
Oh, it's like a month away.
Yeah, it's not long. We have slight
I need
updates.
to lose some weight.
Yeah, same. We have some slight updates because Taylor can't make it, which we always knew was 50-50 because she's coming from Canada. So unfortunately, Taylor can't make it. However, we have JP coming from America. So if you don't know JP, he has been a long-time mod on my Twitch channel. He used to stream himself. He's a big story game guy. He loves story games. So it'd be interesting to have him along. So he's coming. Samosaurus Rex, another Twitch streamer that we both know is coming. And obviously we're going to be there. So we will be streaming from the Airbnb that we're staying in. We'll be streaming from that at least once, maybe more. And we'll also be making some YouTube content. So if you're looking forward to that, I don't know.
I am hoping to make a ton of YouTube content.
Yeah, same.
I want to get some stuff for my channel. I want to get stuff for your channel.
Yeah,
I just want to do as much stuff as we can.
We will have plenty of content. I'm hoping to do some dev interviews. I just need to figure out what microphone I'm going to use because I'm going to have to probably buy a different microphone to do dev interviews, and I just don't know what the best type is because I've never done this before. So I'm going to have to research it a little bit more. I think.
I reckon honestly, clip mics. I've spoken to a few people that make a lot of content and a few people that work for companies that make content. And they've said that clip mics, generally, you can get affordable ones that are really good for that kind of thing.
It's either that or a pointable.
Record the audio and then it's that or a pointy one. But I think with a lot of those, because they tend to be unidirectional, you have to really balance your audio with it because you don't want to be catching everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
But I have a few friends that I will talk to about specifically this use of it.
We'll figure it out. I mean, again, it's a learning experience.
But...
I currently have a shotgun mic, and I don't think that's going to cut it. Let's be honest. So we'd have to be real close to the camera for that. So yeah, I also hope you do realize you're going to be doing some camera work for me while with that.
I mean, good luck. I've seen my camera work before, and oh boy.
When I say camera work, I mean stand behind the camera and make sure it doesn't switch itself off.
I can do. I'll bring my Switch. We'll multitask.
But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, we will release more details of that closer to the time because it is a month away. But if you guys, anybody is heading towards EGX and you want to meet over, let us know. Try and let us know in advance if you can, so we can plan a day where we'll be available. Otherwise, just check us out. We'll be there. I want to make some t-shirts or hoodies with our logos and shit on.
Yeah, I mean, also we could make it like a branding thing, but then we could have our own with names on.
Well, here's the thing. I have, and this is top tier press this is right on the forefront of news. I have plans for making some GGWP logos and branding that I'm going to pay for. And I would love that plastered all over, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get that done in time for EGX.
4 weeks is pushing that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I found the perfect artist. Her work is fantastic. I love it. It's very cartoony, but I like it. It's really good cartoony. And so I'm going to see if I can get her to commission some stuff for the channel, for the podcast. But I just don't think it's going to be done in time because it's going to cost me a bit of money. She's a bit more expensive than other artists, which here's the thing, mini topic time. I don't mind paying it because it's work. And I think a lot of artists at the moment, especially in the streamer sphere, are criminally underpaid. I think it's people are expecting, commissions for $10 for artwork being done. And I think it's awful. So I absolutely do not mind paying a little bit more, to get some good artwork done, because at the end of the day, it's somebody's job. So,
I mean, we had this conversation just for the podcast where we were saying about at the moment, being a streamer and as an affiliate, there's a lot of people in the middle. You have people at the bottom, you have people at the top. The middle is very, very heavy at the moment. But I reckon at the moment it must be brilliant to be an artist that works on emotes, panels, overlays.
Yeah,
because there is so many people looking to do that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's hard though as well, because I think there are a lot of competing artists. I think art in general, graphic design is a very competitive field, and I think because there is so many people trying to do it, and they're all so desperate for it's not. I'm not saying these people are desperate for the work, but because everyone's trying to compete for the work.
Yeah, they want their work out there, so they're willing to
the price
take
drops.
a hit on cost.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, it's not. You know, I don't like the idea of underpaying somebody for good work, and so I'm absolutely more than willing to pay this price for this artist. This thing, I've not even contacted the artist yet. She has no idea that I want to commission her. I've just literally found the perfect one, so I need to save some money and do that. So I would love to have some branding for the event. If not, if I can't get it done, I might just like print off some just cheap ones, just yellow, just so you can see us. Do you know what I mean?
I want to try and get some cards done, probably, but hopefully before EGX, but definitely before. I'm doing Twitch London meetup again in November. I'd love to have some cards done for that, just so that I'm a bit more like, oh, I'm another streamer. Here is a card. Because I think a lot of people, I mean, Twitch London meetup is a bit of a piss up. I thought it was going to be way.
Oh, like, you lost the bet. You lost the bet. You swore first.
Is piss a swear?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it is.
I mean, we're definitely outside of YouTube, like yelling at us.
But I win. What's the timestamp on that? 31 minutes. You did well, man.
That's not bad, especially for us. 31 minutes.
In before somebody was like, actually, Grumpy, you swore at 15 minutes. You just nobody realised. Sorry, continue.
I did think this. At one point, I just went, oh, have I sworn yet? And I was like, well, Grumps hasn't noticed, so we're fine. Yeah, like, it is a bit of a, what would you say? Is it knees up? It's a drinking social event. But a lot of networking gets done. The last time I went, I met a lot of people who I still interact with, and like got to know their brand. People have gotten to know my brand since. Yeah. But it is a big drinking event. There was this one dude, he went with and he brought his kid with him, and there was just everyone getting drunk. And the guy, I think, stayed about for like an hour.
Is there not like an age limit for Twitch London?
I mean, I don't know. To be a
streamer, you gotta be 13. So yeah, how old? I mean, I think talking like a toddler or like.
It wasn't like a toddler, but like a
younger child. Yeah,
a younger child than he was. His child was younger.
You'd hope he was younger. You hope your child is younger 50, than you. I had a baby when I was -5. Continue.
But yeah, so anyway. It was a bit of a thing, but like it's just such an easy way of, because some people were there, so you get, oh, my badge is here actually. So you get a little badge and you like write your name onto it.
Hello, my name is Blindside UK.
But there was a lot of people like going around taking photos of each other's badges, which I thought was like really ingenious. But like a card is so much easier than like, if you wanted to grab my Twitch name, it's on my thing. If you want to take a photo of this part of my chest. So yeah, it's just a bit easier being like,
can we not take photos of parts of our chests? I mean,
if you're saying you can take a photo of my chest, that's fine. Like consent is key.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a bit easier being like, oh yeah, I do stream. Here's my card. Like, I like that. I like it as an idea. Yeah, also, I want an excuse to have business cards, because then I can reenact that scene from American Psycho, where they did the sound effect was like unsheathing a sword, and it's all like shing. And they're like, oh, eggshell with an inlaid, and they're all comparing the cards. I want to do that with people. Just be like, I went to my university and I got a card. It's blue on white. Like, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. It's fun.
As long as you're looking forward to it, that's all that counts.
How dare you?
Speaking, while we're on the like topic of just like breaking news, should we talk about that idea we had before the podcast? I say the idea we had, the idea that I definitely had before the podcast that I've been talking about.
I've already forgotten what idea we're talking about.
YouTube content, considering directly related to the podcast. I just need to make it. That's the only issue. So we have been talking because I have a Patreon. Oh, we just lost half the viewers because I mentioned Patreon. How dare I?
Pay us money.
I have a Patreon, which is one of the best ways to support a creator these days, because God knows I make no money from YouTube and I don't make a lot of money from Twitch either. So I have a Patreon, and I've been thinking for a while of what kind of content I can put on there, and we had an idea. The idea was we could do what we're calling it, GGWP Naughty Bits. Yeah, we're gonna. I think that's the name I'm settled.
I mean, I was gonna go with like extras and outtakes, but Naughty Bits sounds.
Sounds funny, doesn't it? Yeah. So,
do you want to see our Naughty Bits? Pay us money.
Oh, there we go. We can finally, exploit that thirsty young audience. But no, we are. we are. The idea that we had was to make the parts that we really can't like leave in, like the swears and the outtakes and the bloopers and all that kind of stuff. Chuck it in a YouTube video, and if you want to watch it, hey ho, there you go. I have a Patreon.
There's probably going to be people watching who watch regularly that go like, oh, well, it's normally like one take. It goes all the way through. We had the one bleeping like the other week.
Yeah.
But before we go live, we generally sit and chat for a bit beforehand.
Yeah.
And some of the conversations are a bit spicy and they can't be podcasting.
Yes. Yes.
So potentially it was a thought of, if anyone was interested in that content, we can make it a Patreon reward.
Yeah, that was an idea, because currently I have some patrons that have no rewards. You get nothing. You get nothing for being a patron of mine. It's kind of like how you get nothing for being a sub either, you know. In my Twitch channel, it's like, hey, you subscribed. I mean, sure.
You get emotes. You get tasty GGWP emote.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you basically only get Twitch emotes in my channel because I want the emotes.
Like, I mean, I have a load of subs and my emotes are still pending. So
yeah, true.
I got a load of subs the other day and I was just like, yeah, the emotes are still pending. So at the moment we have no emotes because I had to strip all of them out to put the new ones in. Because I wanted to move a tier 1 to tier 2.
Oh, it's so annoying. I wish Twitch would fix that already. Like, you can't just move one from one. You have to like completely remove it. Like, for example, if you want to move it from tier 1 to tier 2 or whatever, you have to completely remove it and re-upload it. But every time you re-upload it, it goes back to pending, which means that a physical human being has to sit there and go, yes, this does not contain genitalia, and then move on. And it's like, could you literally not just let me drag it from tier 1 to tier 2? Like, I get that people would be like dragging emotes, or maybe people would abuse it and be like, oh, haha, I'm going to make it so that you have to sub to tier 2. Otherwise, whatever emote is favorite today, you don't get. But like, at the same time, like, come on, Twitch. I feel like Twitch is running on really old, outdated systems by this point.
I feel like there is, other than the like them checking that everything's fine, there's no more reason to not let us rearrange the emotes.
There isn't. Maybe if you put like a cooldown on it so you can't do it every week or whatever, but like just let us rearrange them.
I mean, hell, let us do it every week. If you have some tier 2 and tier 3 emotes, it means that as a streamer you can then, because when I got I got 4 emotes commissioned, and at the time I had 2 emote slots. So I was going to do 2 in the tier 1 and then 1 tier 2, 1 tier 3, and I was going to go to my subs and say, which emotes you want where? Like, here is a list of emotes. Admittedly, I got very lucky and people have been massively generous over the last few weeks. I can now get all 4 in my tier 1.
Yeah.
But like at the time I was like, which ones do you want where? Because at the time, there is no way of me just putting them in and saying, oh, if you guys prefer another emote, I can just move them.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I can just move them is I can take them down, re-upload them, and we'll wait 2 weeks for them to be reapproved.
Yeah.
Which isn't ideal.
It's not, and it gets worse the more people become Twitch streamers because there's more emotes they have to go through, and now everyone has more emotes because Twitch in the last few months have increased the amount of emotes that affiliates have. It's just like, fix your systems, Twitch, and
eventually they'll automate it, because there's a lot of automated programs now, like machine vision is something that we do at uni, where it's like it looks at it and it goes, that's a tiger, and it's not perfect.
Yeah, but you could just report an emote. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then
this is it. Just like let it follow up and report. All you would need is your like, because now that your emote checking is automated, you have more free time for, okay, someone reported this emote, we can get on it. Like,
yeah, exactly. That person who was literally going, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes. Can
that must be the most I'm assuming someone just sits for like a couple of hours going like, that one's fine, that one's fine.
I've heard, and I don't know if this is just Twitch hears it, but I've heard essentially they just like outsource that to people. Because they're just like, who the hell would want to do that 9 to 5? So I heard they just
wouldn't want to do it 9 to 5, but if you just like, if they made it so there was a program where I could sit and do it,
yeah,
like whilst I'm sat like watching Netflix or something, I could just sit and be like, yep, nope, yep. Like, I'm guessing it's mostly yeps, because who's commissioning emotes that are against TOS?
I don't know though. I mean, come on, there's some people on Twitch, man. I mean, there's some people on the internet in general that just
maybe.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if I did this? And it's usually not hilarious. But anyway, let's move on from the whole Twitch, because if we carry on, I'm going to talk about the Twitch news, and I don't want to talk about the Twitch news. We're being clean this week on the podcast. All right, we're not talking about it.
Well, some people.
We're not talking about it, even though I want to. We're not talking about it. So we have a few minor topics to talk about this week that we want to talk about. I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII new footage.
I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII so much.
Final Fantasy VII, a game that we both love, that we were both very apprehensive about the remake, and now are both absolutely on board. I think we agreed before the podcast.
Yeah, I was, when they announced it, I was 100% on board, and then they were like episodic, and I went just a little bit down, and then they were like, oh, maybe it's not turn-based combat, a little bit down.
Yeah.
And then last week they released some new footage, and I went a little bit down, and now I'm up here somewhere. Kind of 200% in. So the footage looks amazing.
I feel like, and we've talked about this before, I feel like one of the reasons why I was really not convinced about the remake was the timing of the last Final Fantasy. So the last Final Fantasy to release was Final Fantasy 15. I'm talking about main titles here, you know, main title in the series. The last Final Fantasy to release was 15, arguably one of the weakest, if not the weakest in years, in my honest opinion. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. And one of the main criticisms of Final Fantasy 15 was the combat system. And a lot of people were like, what was wrong with turn-based? What was wrong with ATB? Like, this is just crap. And here's the thing as well, right? Here's the thing as well, is that Kingdom Hearts, in my opinion, has good combat. I like Kingdom Hearts combat, right? I like that. But Final Fantasy 15 was worse than that. It wasn't good like Kingdom Hearts was.
It doesn't flow as well as Kingdom Hearts.
No, it doesn't.
The only problem.
It doesn't anywhere near at all.
I mean, I preferred 15's combat to 13's combat, because 13's combat was...
I didn't. I preferred 13's.
Simulator. Like,
I preferred 13.
Auto car. Well, I just hate
I didn't auto, though. I didn't use auto, so...
But the problem is, that I had with it was not autoing puts you at a disadvantage.
It does, but I preferred, it was more fun not to auto, so...
I just, you know I never finished 13, but by about the place that I got to, which is like maybe just beyond halfway, there were so many spells and stuff available to my characters that finding the right spell it took so long, and there wasn't a like non-active ATB where it pauses whilst you're in menus.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That would have been useful, but I got into like a rhythm with it. It felt almost like a rhythm combat game, you know, like Guitar Hero Final Fantasy Edition. But like I got into a rhythm with most of my abilities, and it made it almost like tense when you like did lose that ability, because you know what you want to do. I still don't prefer it. I absolutely prefer the old style combat of ATB and turn-based, which 10 is turn-based, by the way, and most of the rest are ATB. But I like those more. But it was, you know, it was, I could get behind it. But Final Fantasy 15 just felt so clunky and janky, and like the thing with Kingdom Hearts is that usually when you're in a fight, like I don't know, almost like the game really handles the open world aspect a lot better. Like it's only loading the area around you almost. Whereas in Final Fantasy 15, you had these enemies on screen, but it was loading the whole map at the same time. And it was like PlayStation just couldn't handle it. I don't know what it was.
It could struggle at some points. Like
it struggled a lot for me. It wasn't at some points for me. It was like most combat struggled for me. There was a lot of stuttering and frame rate issues. Anyway, regardless, I feel like one of the main reasons I was so apprehensive of Final Fantasy VII Remake was it almost looked like they were pushing Final Fantasy VII towards that. It was like, hey, that's what you like now. And again, we've only seen footage so far. We've not actually had a chance to play the game. So, you know how footage can be. But from what we've seen of it, the combat looks actually good. Like, it's not ATB, right? It's not ATB, it's not turn-based, but it looks good.
Quite like the ATB-esque aspect that they put into it. Like you can, it looks like you can basic attack, you can block, you can move, but then when the ATB fills up, it looks like you have slots, like skill slots, and it looks like you basically, like your ATB fills up, and then you can take a better action. They've also said that you can switch between your characters, so I can use Barrett's ATB and like fight with Barrett, and then if Cloud's ATB fills up, I can switch to Cloud. Use his, and then like you switch between your characters as their ATB comes up, and you use the skills, which I like, because one of the problems I found with 15 was your teammates. Yeah, you could use your action bars or whatever they were to like it slowed the game down a bit. You could go like, I want like Gladius to use his skill. And then he would go and do it. A lot of the time you could like chain off the back of it. That's fine. But I like the idea of being able to switch between the characters. Say you're in a long distance fight, because there's a few bosses where your melee characters cannot hit them. Like if I'm playing as I think in that fight you don't have Cloud, but if I'm playing as like Red, and
Red has magic. Say Tifa.
I mean, whatever. I think the fight you're literally like Barrett, Aeris, Red. So say I'm like Aeris, whatever. I mean, they all have access to magic. But the fight in the Shinra building where you're on the two lifts, if you're fighting as Red and you're just running around on this one lift and you can't really hit anything, So you're just waiting for your ATB to fill up. Whereas you can switch to Barrett, you can just machine gun that guy. When the other's ATB goes up, you can switch in, throw something, go back to Barrett, machine guns.
They showed that off in not this trailer that released, the previous one to that, where they were showing the spider tank boss, the first boss in the game essentially. Where in the remake it like runs across the wall and then Cloud can't hit it, so you have to switch to Barrett. We don't have to, but it makes sense to switch over to Barrett, and now you can shoot it. So it's like the battles seem to be, especially the boss battle, seems to be a lot more scripted, which is a good thing because it means that you're not going to run into boring battles because it's like, oh, well, I just shoot now. Like, things are actually happening and you actually have to engage with it, which, again, we've only seen footage. I really want to actually get my hands on this game and play it, which won't be for a while yet, but...
I mean, Square, if you're watching this and you want two guys that know their Final Fantasy and you are thinking of doing hands-on at any time, trust me, I know Final Fantasy 7, the original, backwards and forwards.
Yeah, same. I streamed it this year. I streamed it this year. I'm probably going to stream it again before the remake comes out. But I'm in the position now where I'm really hoping this turns out to be another Resident Evil 2, because I was very apprehensive of Resident Evil 2 remake as well. I was like, look, the first game was brilliant. Why are you changing it? And that's what I felt. I felt like with Resident Evil, I was like, why are you changing it? You don't need to change it. It was so good. But now we've ended up in this weird position where you've got a really solid original and then a really solid remake, and they're both good games in their own right. Like, the Resident Evil 2 remake does not erase the original. They're both different games. They're different enough that you can pick up one and then play the other one straight after it, and you're not going to be bored because it's like they're both great. And I'm really hoping that this is what happens with Final Fantasy VII Remake, is that you can go back and play the original and it's still going to be fantastic. And then you can go and play the new one, and that's also going to be fantastic in a different way. And I feel like I definitely have eaten my words, because I said all I want is Final Fantasy VII with better graphics. And do you know what? I think I was wrong. I was wrong.
I was on that hype with you, and same. I
think we're actually going to have...
I think what they're doing, Square looks like they're doing a really good job of making a good modern game out of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and we've spoken before. I'm not going to rehash the same old stuff. There's a few concerns that there's going to be stuff that's missing out of the remake that might be a little bit disappointing because, you know, nobody can be offended anymore and certain things that might offend somebody. We'll see. But even if they take that stuff out, I think looking at how it looks, because it looks superb. It looks Advent Children, the game, let's be honest, which isn't a bad thing. It looks superb. It's voice acted really well. Like, all the voice acting we've seen so far sounds great. We were saying before about the summons look awesome. Like, Ifrit was in the new trailer, and
the summons look fan. We saw Ifrit and we saw Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva looks great.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
We also saw some mini games. They were at one point Cloud's playing darts.
Yeah.
And at another point we see, previous to the Corneo's Mansion bit, that everyone's a bit like, will it, won't it?
Yeah.
Cloud is doing the squat challenge, which used to win you a wig for that part of the game. But then also we see Tifa doing pull-ups. So I'm interested to see whether they're just going to put a load of mini games in that gym. Because we already know it's episodic, and we know that the first episode is all in Midgar.
Yeah.
And we were saying before, how are they going to pad out the episodic release of it with enough stuff to keep you in Midgar? And it looks like they're really, really like padding out the world.
Here's the thing though. I almost feel like, and again, this is speculation, so just everybody take this with a pinch of salt. But I feel like the game's not really going to be episodic as such. I think, well, obviously it is. I think it's going to be... I think that it purely is that they were like, right, we're shipping this out to PlayStations, right? A Blu-ray disc can only hold so much. And what the scope of what they're trying to achieve with how gorgeous it looks and how big this game is going to be, it will not fit onto one disc. And so I think they were literally like, right, we will develop one disc and then we'll develop another disc and then we'll develop the third disc and we'll stagger it out that way. And yeah, sure, I could see the argument that people are like, well, why don't just release it all in one big go and have like a 5-disc game like you used to? Because you used to have that with Final Fantasies. You know, Final Fantasy for me as a kid was always the game where I was like, yeah, I get 4 discs for the price of one. But I feel like they were like, but look at the scope of what we're trying to achieve here. I think they're trying to achieve one of the biggest RPGs of all time. When I say biggest, again, a lot of it's going to be graphically, but I feel like there's going to be almost like movie. I feel like each disc is going to be a movie, you know? And if that makes any sense to you at all. Like, I think each disc is going to be its own separate, like, here is the Midgar movie, and then here's the sequel almost, you know? And I'm excited for that. I again, I can get behind it. If they are if the games are as good as the quality as the trailers are, I think everybody's going to be happy with it. I think I have one nitpick. That I will talk about. But apart from that, I think I'm really excited. And every time I see more footage, there's nothing here that's tempering that hype. So we'll see. I really would love it to come out on PC, and I don't know if it's going to. But
they've brought so much of the Final Fantasy stuff to PC. I can't see that it won't ever.
Yeah.
But it might be like, you might be looking at maybe like a year between them. A bit like Monster Hunter World. Obviously, there was a good chunk of time between the PS4 and the PC release. You might be looking at something like that.
I worry because I have an original PlayStation 4, and I worry that it's going to struggle to perform well on that console. And I really don't want to have to buy a PS4 Pro. Or who knows? It might even come out on the PS5. I don't even know. Do we have a release date yet? Is it?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't actually know.
I think there was we still haven't really seen much in the way of concepts of the PS5.
Yeah,
we've seen people throw together what they think. If we had to take a guess, however, we'd place our money on November 2020. So, we have basically websites saying thinking around here.
Yeah. So at the most, we don't know. It's speculation, but I do worry that with how great it does look, that it's not going to run well on a PlayStation. So we will see. But yeah, my one gripe with it so far is that there is some DLC. And when I say DLC, if you buy certain editions of the game, you get Cactar, Carbuncle, and something else. Summon materia? Which leads me to...
Chick.
Yeah, so 3 summon materia that I'm led to believe you can't get unless you buy a certain edition of the game, which is
Carbuncle and Cactuar are not in Final Fantasy VII. Carbuncle is in actually both of them are Final Fantasy VIII summons.
Yeah. So, but even so, it's content.
And Chocobo Chick has never been a summon. There's Chocobo.
No, there's Chocomog. There's a Chocobo,
but
summon.
That's not Chocobo Chick.
But regardless, my point is that there are summons that are being locked behind buying a certain edition, which it's a minor gripe. But, come on. Do we really need to have to lock stuff behind pre-orders and
Carbuncle's a crap summon anyway.
I don't know. I mean, reflect on everybody if that's what Carbuncle usually does. There was some really good strategies with Carbuncle in certain games, though, to be fair. But we're getting off topic. The point is, the game looks gorgeous. It looks great. I can't wait for it. Let's release it. And it also continues my theory that all of the best games in the last couple of years have all come out of Japan.
Japan are definitely pulling. Well, I was going to say pulling the figure out. Japan have always made great games.
They have. They have.
I think it's starting to. The gap between Japan and the West in video games is just starting to show more.
I just think Japan hasn't fallen for the corporate greed as much as America has, and it's showing. I think, with the recent stuff with NBA and stuff like that, you don't see that level of crap coming out of Japan. You see some of it, but you don't see the same level coming out. And I'm glad. It's almost like Japan is the last bastion at this point. But yeah, it's Final Fantasy. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be probably on my top 10 list of the year, if not one of the top games, whenever it comes out, probably. Because I can't think of another game apart from Cyberpunk that I'm more excited for. Honestly.
I've said this about CD Projekt Red 100 times on the podcast. CD Projekt Red, every time information comes out at Cyberpunk and people are like, oh, what does this mean? They are a company that have earned my trust. Yeah. Yes. Square over the last couple of years, that trust has been wavered a bit on directions and stuff. Yeah. But every time something new comes out for the 7 remake, it reinforces that a bit more. And I'm getting to the point now where they are clearly trying to bring out a fantastic game.
One thing I will say,
happy to see what they do.
We first saw the teaser years ago now. Years ago, we saw
the rumors were a decade ago.
Yeah. But then remember when we first saw the teaser and everyone was like, oh, no, they're not actually making it. It was just a PlayStation tech demo, essentially. I don't think it was. I think they've been working on it since then. And I think
that was a PS3. It was on the PS3, the first trailer, when they were like, oh, we might be making this. And it looked fantastic then.
Yeah. So I think they've been working on this game a long time. And I think they have been, regardless, even if that wasn't. They have been working on it a long time, and I can't wait to see what that work leads to. So, unless you have anything else to add to the gloriousness that is Final Fantasy VII, still one of my favorite games of all time.
I am 100% gonna play it. I will probably buy that game at full price, which anyone that knows me knows I don't buy games at full price.
You are a very cheap person.
Because I am a poor person. I mean, especially like single player games, I just don't see the need. Like, if you really, really want to play the game, buy it full price. Most games, I'm not that bad. I'm not that fussed with it.
Speaking of single player games, I absolutely agree with you on that one, because last year I didn't get to buy all of the major releases. I usually buy all of major releases that I want to. I see a game, I like the look of it, I buy it. But because last year I was working, I was a full-time streamer, which anyone doesn't know, I did streaming full-time for last year, just as a break to get out of retail. But I didn't have the money to buy all the games, so there's quite a few that I missed. And so PlayStation have brought out some of their exclusives with a new sleeve. It is a little thing that Game in the UK at the moment, they are selling. If you buy a new version of these games, you get these sleeves of them. They're awesome. I like the art of them. I have them right here. This is one of them, Shadow of the Colossus, as an example. But they look great. And half of these games that I bought, I haven't played yet. I haven't played Spider-Man, God of War, The Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus. I played the original, but not the new one. And with these all being single player games, there's no rush. I can play them whenever I want. I can play them in 5 years if I want to, like I can play them whenever. And that is one of the beauty of single player games. Considering that the industry has been telling us for years now that, oh no, multiplayer is the only thing and single player games are dead. One of the beautiful things of single player games is that you don't have to rely on other people's boredom or other people's, hype for a game. Whereas with other games like Evolve, as an example, once people realize, I don't like this game and everyone moves on, for the people that were playing it, now they can't play the game anymore because there's no player base. With single player games, you can play whenever you want. So another reason why single player games will never die. And also, I really just wanted to show off the artwork on these games because they look great. I really like them. I paid too much money for all of them, but I really like the artwork on them. So
yeah, they do look fantastic.
They look really, really nice. I'm a big fan of my favorite, and if Platt watches the podcast, she will appreciate this one. This is the best one. I know it's backwards. I do apologize, but The Last of Us, I don't know, I might be able to flip it, but The Last of Us artwork is just great. It's got a firefly symbol on the back as well. I don't know, I'm a big fan. I'm not opening that one though. I'm keeping that one pristine. But yeah,
haven't you already played that though? You've already played Last of Us.
Oh, I've played The Last of Us to death. I've completed it like 5 times. Probably will complete it another 5 before The Last of Us 2 comes out. But while we're talking about PlayStation, actually, we have another little topic we want to talk about. With it's kind of related to PlayStation. It's kind of related to the market in general, if you will. PlayStation recently had a little bit of I don't even know what to call it. They had a bit of a moment, didn't they?
PlayStation clearly has a new social media guy.
A very good one. A very effective one.
I've got an idea. And did his idea work?
Or her, don't assume. But yeah, so PlayStation came out recently. PlayStation Twitter. Was it PlayStation UK or just PlayStation? I think it was just PlayStation, wasn't it?
I think it was just PlayStation.
Yeah. So PlayStation came out recently and said, what do you call? God damn it, I don't have a prop. Do you have a PlayStation remote to hand? I don't have one. I don't know where mine is. I actually don't know where mine is. But there we go. PlayStation came out and said, what do you call this? We're talking about the bottom button. Yeah, the bottom, the blue one. And they said, what do you call this? Do you call it a cross, an X, or what was the other one? A rotated plus?
Plus rotated 45 degrees.
Yeah, which was obviously a joke. But they said, what do you call it? An X or a cross? And they did a poll, and the overwhelming majority of people said X. And as far as I'm concerned...
More people said rotated plus than said cross.
There you go. So more people picked the joke than actually said cross. So as far as I'm concerned, it has always been X. I have never heard anybody else say anything else. And here's the thing. I think that's what they were banking on. I think they actually... I think this was a clever bit of marketing. I think they wanted people to argue, because after that, after the poll ended and the overwhelming majority of people said it's an X, they came out and said, actually, you're all wrong, it's cross. And here's the thing, though. A lot of people replied with, well, hang on a minute. Why does pretty much every game where they actually reference the control scheme say X? Even Spyro the Dragon says, press the X button. So I think, and this is just a theory, a grumpy theory, this was a clever marketing ploy, and it seems like a lot of companies these days are doing this. And I say companies, even like streamers are doing this as well, where essentially they want people to argue with them. You say something with enough authority and you know for a fact it's wrong. The thing you are saying is wrong, but then people come and argue with you. And that's what they want, because if you're arguing with them, you're engaging on the post. And as anybody who does any form of social media, streaming, YouTube, whatever, everybody knows engagement is king. Engagement, pretty much whether positive or negative. And this also leads on to another sort of side topic. Negative or positive engagement, really, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. You're getting views on your pages. You're getting ad revenue if you have that set up. You're getting potentially people visiting your stores, whatever. Or maybe you're just getting, more followers. But they want the engagement. And I think that this is definitely a case of that. It kind of relates to a lot of theories at the moment with a lot of big streamers who seemingly keep getting banned for small periods of time for doing very stupid things. There's some kind of maybe tinfoil hat. We need to get that as a little like a little thing. Tinfoil hat time. There's a lot of people speculating that a lot of big high profile streamers and YouTubers are doing things that get them banned only temporarily just so they can have the publicity. Amaranth has been banned recently.
I've heard it described as a giant game of horse.
Yeah.
Where like they're trying to see who can. Like, if anyone doesn't know what horse is, it's an old skiing game where you try and do a trick, and then someone else has to try and do the trick. And if they don't do it, they get a letter. And it looks like... And I saw this a while back and was just like, no, there's no way that that's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's looking more and more it every day.
It does. It's hard, isn't it? Again, we're talking conspiracy theories here, but it's hard to deny. It does seem a little bit fishy that there's a lot of big high-profile people keep seemingly doing silly things, and... like I've said before, any press is good press. But we've seen this happen, and I spoke to you about this in the pre-show. We've seen this happen on YouTube. And what did that lead to? That led to YouTube cracking down on their policies and making the platform more difficult for everybody. And I worry that the same sort of thing is going to happen with Twitch. I worry that Twitch is going to be like, look, if you carry on doing this stuff, we're just going to start insta-banning people. I'm not saying that's what Twitch are going to do. I'm saying that...
I mean, the trick to avoiding that, though, is don't engage in the dumb things.
Yeah, I worry that Twitch are going to change their policies to reflect this, because people are so desperate for the views, essentially. And it seems like on Twitch at the moment, people are doing anything for it. And once people get wind of that and they start like going, oh, I'm going to do something stupid to get views. This is where we end up with people doing stupid stuff like we had on YouTube, where people were doing challenges that were putting people's lives at risk and stuff like that, all for the sake of views, and that's not what
people will do for imaginary internet points.
It's true. Well, you say imaginary internet points, but it for some people leads to money, and that's what a lot of people want. They want the money.
Coming from the guy who spends half his time putting time, effort, money into imaginary internet points.
Yeah, but it's true. Clicks are money, essentially, for a lot of people. A lot of people have made livings off of gaining clicks. Again, ad revenue, marketing, affiliate marketing, whatever. Most of these rely on you having a big audience. And for a lot of people, it almost doesn't matter how they got that big audience, whether it was legitimate, earned, bought, or earned with shock factor. It doesn't almost matter. What matters is you have that audience. And it's really worrying, because I really don't want to see, people complain about the adpocalypse on YouTube. I don't want to see the same sort of thing happen to Twitch. I really don't want to see that.
Twitch is one of the places that, so like, if you're applying for a partnership with Twitch, they seem to be a lot more on to things like if you're regularly getting raided, it doesn't count towards your figures. Yeah. If you have VODs that have been muted in the past however long, that can affect your partnership. Like, they definitely seem to be looking at how you build your audience a bit more than places like YouTube or Twitter or whatever. Yeah. That, like, Twitch does seem to have a better grasp on going, okay, cool, you have all these people watching you, but why? Like, are you someone that we want to partner with?
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully they keep that common sense moving forward with this other stuff.
I mean, that's a whole can of worms, though, because we've seen that some of their big partnered streamers have done stuff that would get other people banned, and they haven't. And I've also seen people that have, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not going to mention any specific channels, but there are channels out there that have gotten big on on Twitch because of stuff that was a bit shady, and they've still ended up partnered. So It's a weird one. I don't want to get into the whole like ban this person. I don't care. We said this again. We said another thing we said in the pre-show. Like for us, I don't care who gets banned or who doesn't get banned on Twitch. I really don't. As
long as it's not us.
Yeah. As long as it's not affecting my channel, like I don't really care. But what I do care about is the overall like health of the platform. And like we said before, like YouTube, come on, I swear on YouTube, we swear. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people actually being sensible and safe on the platform. Like we don't want Twitch to follow the same patterns as YouTube, and the bigger Twitch gets, the more likely that is going to happen. So I hope we see an end to this. Haha, what stupid thing can we do for publicity this week? But that's the internet for you. But yeah, moving on, because unless you've got anything else to say about that topic, that was it. It's X.
The only other thing I've got to say is where you were saying about where you argue with people, it almost falls under like Cunningham's law, which is like basically if you are trying to seek the truth on the internet, the best way to do it is to put out a falsehood.
Yeah.
One of my favorite posts I've ever seen, someone posted, I think it was on Reddit, and they were like, Murphy's Law is this great thing where if you put out something that's wrong on the internet, someone will correct you within minutes. But if you put out a question, no one will ever answer you. And it was like 1 minute later, someone gone, that's Cunningham's Law, not Murphy's Law. And it was just like, oh my God, you got baited so hard.
That's clever. That is really clever. I love that.
I was just like, well done, dude.
But yeah, I mean, I said this on Twitter. I know, of course, I got part of the hype. I'm just to blame as everybody else. I said it's X, and if you argue any otherwise, you are dead to me. So, moving on. We have a little bit of Borderlands stuff going on. Borderlands 3 has finally launched, and both Elliott and I...
It's available on the Epic Store.
It is. I mean, both Elliott and I, we both ran out to stores to purchase it, didn't we? We both ran to the store to buy it.
I went to my local store and they went, you can only buy this on Epic or your PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. I walked into the store and they said, get out. And I was like, okay, fine. No, we just haven't. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like
you're banned.
Yeah, you're banned. No, I don't know. I was kind of excited for it. And now it's here, I'm just like, I'll get around to it. I just got no real, like, urgent desire to play it. And that's weird for me. Like,
I played the first two. I wasn't massively into them. My brother sat and played Borderlands, my copy of Borderlands 1, and he finished it in one sitting in a solo playthrough. Wow. And I was just like, fair plays. I've got both of them on Steam. I think I've jumped into 4 or 5 Borderlands 2 campaigns with friends, where we play one session of it because we're like, let's do a Borderlands 2 playthrough.
Yeah.
And then we get so far through the game and we go, excellent. Can't wait for next time we play it again. And then we never touched it again.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I mean, I've played it with a few different groups of friends, and Borderlands is always better with friends. But I enjoy Borderlands 2 every time I play it with people, but it's rare that I do like a full playthrough. And then Borderlands 3 has been released, and we've been waiting for ages for it, and now it's here, and I'm just like, I'll get around to it. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not hyped for it. I don't know.
It's almost like, if I was gonna play it, I'd want to get like maybe me, you, and like a couple of other, like maybe some regulars from our chats or something.
Yeah.
And be like, right, we're gonna play it every Wednesday at this time, and we will play it from start to finish.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like so burnt out on this whole, like Stardew Valley. They released the multiplayer mod. I've started a multiplayer farm with you. I started a multiplayer farm at I-65 with a friend. I started a multiplayer farm at Insomnia the year before. None of those farms are beyond year 1. Like, multiplayer games like that are a great idea. Like the longer games, it's a great in theory, or if you're very organized. The realism of it is you're going to have 40 save files with different people.
It's really hard as a streamer, because if you're a group of friends, right, and you do it in your own time, like after work, whatever, you can just play when you want, and you probably continue playing as soon as you can. As a streamer, though, you have to schedule it, and trying to get 2 streamers to schedule, or more streamers to schedule certain times each week can be very difficult. I mean, we struggle for the podcast. I mean, look how many episodes Taylor has missed now. It's almost like she's disappeared into the ether. I only know she's still alive because she plays Minecraft and she keeps begging me to play, but I'm like, I can't. Classic WoW. But yeah, it's really hard. Like we honestly, like, we're kind of lucky that my job gives me Fridays off nearly every week, because it's the only real time that we can do a podcast together, unless we do it like late at night. So as streamers, it is hard to find a group to continually play a regular game with. It's very, very hard. It's very difficult, which is why, eventually, hopefully, if I can go back to full-time streaming, we can actually do regular content. Just everybody, donate £1 million, and then
if every single person in the world gives us £1 a year, then we'll get an office space and we'll make all the content you could ever dream of.
Yeah, just like Steve Jobs or whoever, just donate. But no, like I'm joking, by the way, but seriously, like it's very difficult to schedule a game over multiple play sessions.
Especially as part-time streamers as well. Like if you're a full-time streamer, like I think it's probably a lot easier to get a few of your full-time streamer friends
if you're
together.
all full-time, then sure.
And you're like, oh well, we already do whatever content like at this time at the same time, and we'll just make that content into this content.
Exactly. But even then,
that's just like, well, I've got work here, and then I've got social things there, and I've got
But I was about to say though, here's the thing though, like I'm sure even like full-time streamers, a lot of them probably have YouTube channels and have other things. Like even then, I'm sure it's very difficult for them because you gotta play around releases, because most YouTubers anyway, and a lot of streamers too, they focus the content as soon as the game launches. Game comes out and most YouTubers already have a video ready because they've had a review copy or whatever. So I feel like even then it's probably very difficult. Do you know what we need, right? We need to be like Angry Joe Show. Like we need to like live in the same place and we need to like work together like that. Again, we need money to do that. But that's what we need, right? We need to like get a house and then do it that way. And then that way there's just no opportunity not to make content together. So again, Patreon. I'm joking. Nobody go. It was a joke. Don't worry about it.
I'm not sure how thrilled your parents would be if it's like, come blindside move in so we can play video games all the time.
We don't have. I just don't have the room. Do you know if we had the room, they probably wouldn't care. They're probably like, yeah, sure, whatever. But we just don't have the room for somebody else. Again, I stream from my bedroom because we don't have the room.
I live in a student house and stream from my bedroom.
Yeah. Look, one day, maybe.
Content creators working together.
But this is genuinely why I've gone back to work full time, and I know it sucks at the moment because my streams are all over the place. But this is why: it's to get my debts cleared off, get myself in a financially stable position, and hopefully get some money saved in the bank so that I can put it towards content creation. Again, I still believe that I do. I believe that I could do this full time. Something in the gaming industry, I believe I could do content creation full time. It's just getting to that point. So if you're watching this podcast and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We need to get to 1,000. Thank you. But I do. I believe I could. It's just at the moment, it sucks. I have to work full time. But enough complaining. I am the Grumpy Brit, not the Moany Brit. Let's move on. Borderlands 3. Brit. Well, there was news about Borderlands 3, but it's nothing spectacular. There was review copies that nobody in the UK got a review copy because of security concerns, and those who did get a review copy,
journalists in the UK
no journalists got review copies due to security concerns, and those that did outside of the UK got a debug version, not a proper review version. And people were like, wait, why are we getting debug versions like a week before release? This is a bit odd. And then the game has come out and most people are like, well, it works fine, so what's the problem? Apart from some PC users who are having issues with that. But I mean, other games have had that. That's not necessarily out of the ordinary, is it? But yeah, it's here. I guess we'll play it eventually. I mean, guys, let us know.
I watched someone play it this morning. I sat and watched Bammy Leaf play, who is another English streamer. She was having a whale of a time on it. I had to leave her stream to do my stream, but she tweeted out earlier just being like, this might...
Whoa, did you just self-promo? Sorry.
On... our podcast. Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough that I sit in your chat a lot and just shout myself out.
No, we said this.
It's a bit of a running joke.
We have an unwritten rule. I mean, like, do you know what's weird, right? Let's just get real a minute. And I know I called you a human last week and you nearly cried, so just be like, but it's weird how like it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like we're a stream team or something, like I see the GGWP guys, and I include Taylor in this, even though she's never here. Like, I see you guys as my colleagues, and so if you were to come into my stream and be like, hey guys, I'm going live now, I wouldn't give a crap, because I'm like, you guys are my colleagues, So it's almost like we're working together, we have shared goals, so why does it matter? Do you know what I mean? Like, your success is almost my success and mine is yours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is nice. I like that. I like that we have this little sort of little team going on.
But yeah, Bammy Leaf, earlier on, she tweeted out after she'd been playing Borderlands for basically all day.
Yeah.
She said, "Okay, I don't want to say this." Well, she tweeted, "Okay, I don't want to say this too prematurely, but holy fuck, Borderlands 3 is perfect."
That's the second swear.
But I'm quoting someone. I can't. Holy beeps.
Holy beeps.
Yeah, she put Borderlands 3 is perfect. And from what, like, the graphics look fantastic, the combat looks fantastic. We were saying beforehand, the gunplay and stuff, like, it all looks really good.
Yeah.
But I'm the same as you. I'm struggling to be hype about it because I
feel like here's the thing. I feel like if somebody right now was like, "Hey, look, I've got Borderlands, let's go, let's play it," I'd probably be like, "Cool," and I'd probably really enjoy it. But I just don't know what it is. I at the moment would rather go and sit and play Blasphemous. You know what I mean? Little indie game. I just don't know. I have no motivation to play Borderlands at the moment, and unless I'm gonna do it with somebody else and make content together, I'm just not really that bothered, honestly.
I mean, yeah, this is it. It's kind of the perfect game to get everyone together and play, but at the same time, it's a really easy game probably to get everyone together, play one session, and then never touch it again.
Probably. Which I have done that on Borderlands 2. I streamed it with Goz once, and then we never did it again.
I don't want to spend 50 quid on a game, play one session, and then never get any more content out of it.
Yeah. Which is, some of you might be going like, "Oh, that sounds a bit weird that you say it like that," but like we do have to be careful about our purchases. Neither of us are super rich. You know, we can't buy every game ever, and sometimes it comes down to, and it is when you are a streamer or a YouTuber, you sometimes view games as, well, which one is going to be more entertaining for my fans? You know, and it's like, I can either buy this game and it was going to be really fun for everybody, or I can buy this game and it might not. I'm going to go for this one, which, you know, that is just part and parcel of being a content creator, and we have limited time and limited funds. So anyway, that's Borderlands. Again, guys, let us know if you are playing it and it's amazing. Let us know. I would love to know if it's great, or if you're playing it and you hate it. Let me know that as well. Let me know in the comments down below.
Have you seen? Also, let me know which character you're playing, because have you seen the characters?
Yeah.
Who do you think you would play?
Old man. The old man who has
the soldiery guy.
He has grey hair.
Zane? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw Bamey was playing Flack, who is the Beastmaster guy.
Yeah.
And then there's the one with the big turret, and then there's the Siren.
Yeah.
And then there's Zane. I think Zane is right.
Yeah.
So you reckon you play Zane? So we could play it together, because I reckon I'd want to play the Siren.
Yeah.
Because if it's like Borderlands 2, I used to play support Siren.
Yeah, she was.
So
she was
you
fun.
can lift people in the air in bubbles, and if people shoot them, it heals everyone. They take more damage. Like
when you get like high enough as a Siren, you can literally shoot your teammates to heal them, which is really cool.
I like the idea. I like playing support in games as it is.
Yeah.
But I like that
Borderlands,
as an idea.
Borderlands 2, one of the best things about it is it almost took that like the WoW Holy Trinity, you know, tank, healer, and DPS, and almost converted it into a first-person shooter, which I thought was really cool. You know, like,
and you could pretty much play anything as that. So you could play like the Mechanomancer as a tank with basically pet tanking.
Yeah.
You could play like the soldier as a tank, like using your turret for stuff. Like, or you could play most of them as healers, or most of them as just pure DPS.
Yeah.
Like, I did enjoy that a lot.
I really liked playing as a psycho in Borderlands 2 because you had to be a psycho to pick that character because he was so weird and didn't work very well. But I enjoyed playing him. I sometimes roleplayed.
And his voice lines are fantastic too.
Yeah. Don't touch me there. I liked him. Anyway, that's Borderlands 3. I guess we'll get around to it. I guess. And again, if you guys were like, please play it, Grumpy and
if people like if we had a big uprising of like our audiences and they were just like, we want to see you play Borderlands together, then like I would do it. I'm struggling to find drive for it.
Yeah. I almost kind of as well, like I almost want to do some more YouTube live streams, so maybe I don't know. I feel like a lot of my motivation for content creation at the moment is I want to make stuff that sticks around a bit longer than Twitch, because I love Twitch streaming, but once you turn off your Twitch stream, it's you disappear. You don't exist anymore. And I feel like one of the reasons why I love doing the weekly podcast is because it's there, and if you miss it, you can watch it in a few days, and it's not, it's still relevant. So I feel like I want to do a bit more looking into YouTube live streaming, just for the fact of that, it does save as a video and it's on your channel afterwards. But we could talk about that off the podcast, because that's an off the podcast.
Twitch does that, but like, who's watching?
Nobody watches VODs though.
I've had like one or two people where they're like, "Oh, I missed the end of Sekiro,"
Yeah.
Or oh, I missed this one bit of Dark Souls, and they're like, oh, well, I'll check out the VOD. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
but
okay.
let me put this into perspective though. I literally had somebody the other day say, "Oh, I was checking out one of your videos on your YouTube channel the other day," and I was like, "Oh, which one?" They were like, "It was a really long one, and you were like shooting zombies," and I was like, "My Days Gone live stream? That was months ago." And they're like, "Yeah, I just watched it for a bit. It was fun." I was like, "Okay, cool." Do you know what I mean? So it's like people are still watching videos on your YouTube channel months later, whereas nobody goes and watches VODs, and VODs eventually disappear on Twitch. So, you know, I would like to see Twitch implement some more longevity stuff. I know obviously the whole gimmick of Twitch is everything is live, but I would like to see Twitch do something interesting and make content last a bit longer. But hey ho, that's a topic for another day.
They tried, and because they did
they did like highlights and all that crap, but
well, not even that. They have like a video uploader. So I have an edited video of it's me and my friends playing Destiny 2. We were waiting for a friend to load into the game to play one of the raids, and I'd already hit record, and we were just messing around in like the hub city.
Yeah.
And I ended up editing a load of like just the funny bits together, uploaded it to YouTube, uploaded it to Twitch. Like it picked up some traction on YouTube because YouTube is for that. Literally nothing on Twitch.
This is what I'm saying. Like they've done things, but nothing with it. You know, they put these systems in place and then gone, there you go. They kind of like copied other platforms, but then not really supported it. You know, like the whole thing about YouTube is it's a searchable platform. Like if I go search for something, I will find it. Whereas somebody has to literally find your channel and then go through your videos to find your videos. And no one's doing that. No one. Why would you? Why would you do that on Twitch? So anyway, I would like to see something like that, but who knows? We have another topic though. Another game that isn't out yet, because considering that all the games that are out at the moment, I don't really want to talk about them. So we'll talk about games in the future. Resident Evil. What's it called?
Project Resilience?
Project Resistance. Yeah.
Ah, it was close.
That's the one. Resident Evil by Daylight. Dead by Resident Evil. Evolved.
It's like Resident Evil 5 Nights at Freddy's.
Resident Evil Evolved. Well, so if you haven't heard, again, I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil series. Not all of the games, because some of them are terrible. But in general, I'm a massive fan of Resident Evil. I love survival horror. I love Resident Evil, Dino Crisis, all of that. And there's a new game coming out, Resident Evil franchise, and it looks interesting, but it's called Resident Evil Project Resistance, and it is an asymmetrical game. And when I heard this, I was like, oh, is it another Dead by Daylight clone? I was like, oh god, please no, because we have the Predator game coming out, which is an asymmetrical hardware. Obviously Death Garden, which is by the same developers as Dead by Daylight, and Death Garden isn't a Dead by Daylight clone. But we had that come out, and then we have the Predator game coming out. There was another game that came out that we said, what was the one we talked about before, where you're playing as kids? It almost looks like Stranger Things, but that's an asymmetrical.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, no, I can't either. And now we have this game coming out, and it seems like a lot of games are taking inspiration from Dead by Daylight, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But this one, it's different, and so it is for survivors who have guns, by the way. So you have guns as the survivors. It is for survivors versus what the game is calling a mastermind. And the mastermind essentially sits in a control center and can place traps and turrets and cameras and all these things around the map. Can also spawn enemies though, and can then take control of the enemies. And so in the trailer, for example, we saw, I could do a thing for this. I could get some footage. Let me go. Get some footage. In the trailer, we saw the survivors being facing off against things like lickers that the mastermind had placed, and obviously the mastermind can pick good locations to place these enemies. But also, and I know Sammy, if she watches this episode of the podcast, is going to be very excited about this, you can spawn in Mr. X and you can play as Mr. X and punch people in the face. And I don't know, I'm like on the fence about it. Like, I'm like, I like the idea, but I'm just not sure about it. And I know from the very little footage that we have of the game, they're calling it a survival horror, but I don't see in any way this being a survival horror. It looks far too action orientated to me. The survivors have guns and they're running around shooting. Now, I know you have guns in the original Resident Evil, but the whole point was you rarely used your guns. You only ever used your guns to get out of sticky situations. And this game looked more like Resident Evil 5. Now, it does look like it's running on the same engine as Resident Evil 2 because Mr. X looked exactly the same, but the gameplay mechanics look more like Resident Evil 5, and I actually enjoyed Resident Evil 5 as a co-op game. I thought it was a terrible Resident Evil game, but it was a nice little cheesy horror co-op game. But
good
this one,
same as everything. It's good with a friend.
Yeah. I played it with a couple of different people, like start to finish, and I actually enjoyed it. But it was not a great Resident Evil game, and I think this is going to be the same. I think this is going to be maybe a fairly decent game, but I don't think it's going to be a good Resident Evil game. It doesn't look anything like Resident Evil to me. It looks like a asymmetrical action game with Resident Evil flavor, you know.
So before the podcast, we have a very brief conversation about like, okay, what do we want to talk about? What are some games we've seen? You described this game to me, and then I looked it up, and I got a few screen grabs, and I got some video footage, and it looks like Resident Evil Tower Defense.
Yeah,
like it looks like the one end of the office is literally playing Balloons Tower Defense, and everyone else is playing some kind of Gauntlet Runner.
Yeah, it does. It almost reminds me.
It could be a lot of fun.
Do you remember that? Did it ever come out, that Fable game that was supposed to be that, where one person is like the bad guy and is placing things and the other people are the heroes?
Fable game?
Yeah, I don't think it ever came out. It was supposed to be, because everyone was like, yeah, new Fable game, and then they were like, yeah, one of you is like, one of you, it's like one of you's top down and you're like the antagonist essentially. But I don't actually think it ever released. That was a long time ago.
Legends?
Possibly.
Yeah, lets you play as a villain to plot against friends.
Did it ever come out?
Let me find.
I never played it regardless.
Release cancelled. The servers shut down 2016. They announced the cancellation in March 2016.
Yeah, there you go. So it reminds me kind of the idea of that, but Resident Evil. But at the same time, survival horror for me, like the original Resident Evils, the Dino Crisis and stuff, crises and whatnot, the whole point was, and apparently I've been clipping this entire time, the whole point of those games was that they were very well crafted. You know, like you had, you know, the people still speedrun Resident Evil, and there's a reason for that. It's because the games were designed very, very well. And if you take that element of design out and put that in the hands of a person, maybe you'll get some matches that are really interesting because you have a very clever mastermind. But a lot of the time, you're gonna get people that just spam enemies or whatever. And I feel like it's not going to be a very good Resident Evil game. I just can't see it. You know,
I'm guessing there's going to be something in place to stop you just spamming stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming so too. Like, you know, I'm sure there is. But what I'm saying is I don't think this is going to be a particularly fantastic Resident Evil game because you're taking the design out of the hands of the developer and putting it in the player. The horror's not going to be there because, again, you know, like how Resident Evil 2, to take that as an example, right? There were some very like well-crafted scares and well-crafted tense moments in that game because like you'd walk around a corner and a licker was there and then you were like, oh god, you know, and like that's what I'm saying. That was designed on purpose. Well, in this game, it's not being designed by the developers, it's designed by the mastermind. So they might not care about horror. They might just throw them at you and be like, here you go, here they all are. Do you get what I'm getting at?
No, I entirely understand what it is you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was going to design a game that was this, I would make it so that potentially the setting and the map design gives you the idea of the horror. And maybe even make it so it's like, okay, you have to like zone things away from each other rather than just being like, we're going to have a room where I'm just going to spawn 8 zombies in so that it's unlikely you're going to be able to run through before something grabs you.
Yeah, but I feel like this game is emphasizing more of the action side of things. Like the survivors have to escape and they have the means to do so. And the mastermind has just got to stop them. And it just, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying the game is going to be bad because the game might be great, but I just don't think it's going to be a very good Resident Evil game. And I almost don't see the point of it being Resident Evil, aside from the fact that all the enemies and stuff are from Resident Evil.
I mean, it's going to be a zombie game. They've already gone like, everyone loved the Resi 2 remake. It also gives you that advantage of, you can basically just go like, why should I buy this game? And they go, well, you love Resi games.
But
this is a Resi game.
One thing that concerns me, though, is that the majority of the Resident Evil side games or spin-off games have generally been really bad. You know, what was that one that came out not long ago? Umbrella Core or whatever it was called.
You're talking to the one person that does not play horror games.
Yeah, someone in the comments let me know. But there was a game that came out. It was a multiplayer Resident Evil game, and it was garbage. And a lot of these sort of side things have been not that great. There's been some side games that were great, like Resident Evil Outbreak. We've talked about this before. That was decent. I liked that. But generally speaking, when they try to reinvent the wheel with Resident Evil, it just doesn't work. And one of the reasons why Resident Evil 2 worked so well was that, yeah, sure, the engine was new and the perspective was new and the mechanics were new, but they were all based on a very well designed game. It was like Game of Thrones, you took George R. R. Martin's amazing book and you converted it into a TV show, right? And as soon as you took those books away, the last season went crap and I'm still salty about it. But the same things with Resident Evil. If you take a really good, solidly designed game and you remake it, you have a good foundation to work with. But every time you try and reinvent the wheel and make a new game, not so well, So I mean, even Resident Evil 7. Let me be very clear about this. I enjoyed Resident Evil 7 quite a bit. However, I still think Resident Evil 7 is one of the weakest Resident Evil titles in the main series. It is. It's one of the weakest ones. It's one of the least Resident Evils. If you were to have taken Resident Evil 7 and given it a new name, called it
Hillbilly House.
Yeah. I'd have been like, yeah, this was great. It wouldn't have made it any less or more better, So the fact is that 7 was it got lucky because it was designed really, really, really well. But yeah, it wasn't a great Resident Evil game. And this is what I'm saying. Every time they try and reinvent the wheel, it doesn't seem to work for them. So I'm not gonna sit here and crap all over a game that's not even out yet, but I'm just saying I'm not expecting huge things from it. I'm not expecting it to be... I would love to be pleasantly surprised. I would love to actually play it and go, whoa, I was wrong. But I'm not expecting great things. I'm interested, and I'm interested to play as Mr. X and punch some people in the face, but I can't see it being all that great, And I'm more interested in Predator. I think Predator is a better premise for an asymmetrical horror game. I think I like that premise more, but I will give this game a chance. I will give it a go. It's a Resident Evil game. I buy all of them pretty much. I will give it a go. We'll see. But yeah,
I probably won't play it, but I'm not massively into Resi. I'm not massively into asymmetric. I mean, Dead by Daylight's good with like friends, and I did get into Killer, but like this seems more like I said, tower defensey or like almost like management defense, and I'm like,
I just think I like tactical, but I also like horror, and one of them's going to fail. It's either going to be a really great tactics game, but not so great at horror, or it's going to be a really great horror game, but not so great at the tactics. And I think it's going to be the former. I think it's going to be probably a fairly fun tactical game, but the horror aspect is going to suffer because you can't do horror well unless you craft the horror well. Like you can't expect people to provide the horror for you, Like it's going to be very rare that somebody playing the mastermind's actually going to know how to scare you, Like it's not... I mean, come on, look at Friday the 13th, the game, when they gave people the chance to speak in the game. You didn't hear a lot of horror. You heard a lot of, shall we say...
Yeet.
I watched one video, and I'm sure I've talked about it on podcast before, but I watched... when Friday the 13th first released, I watched a video on it, and there was a guy running around as Jason. If you've never played Friday the 13th, one of you plays as Jason, and I think 4 of you are survivors, but you can have voice comms in that game.
It's more than that, isn't it?
Is it more than 4? It might be, but the basic premise is you get the gist. And the guy was just running around as Jason going like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna kill you. And it was just so funny.
Like, I've seen a few people use the, like, I see you in the house and stuff like that. And it's like, okay.
Yeah,
fine. And like I quite like I think Friday the 13th was put together really well.
I've never played it, by the way. I've only seen footage.
So there's like 4 or 5 ways of escaping. You can like repair a boat, you can repair the car, you can call the police, you can have someone die, but you get a radio that calls a camp counselor in, and the camp counselor can kill like as a survivor, there's a lot you can do. Like DBD is go and work the gens. Once you work the gens, get out. Friday the 13th seems to have more to it than that. But the killer is way more 2D. Like, whereas DBD has like a load of killers.
Yeah.
All the killers are Jason. Admittedly, you could be different types of Jason that work slightly differently, but it's a lot the same. I feel like, and it just didn't do well. I picked up the game for free on PlayStation, and the servers were dead by the time I got to it.
Yeah.
So I've played like 2 matches, both times like 2 people DC'd. And it was just like...
It's a shame. Fun. I mean, I really like the idea of asymmetrical games, but they are very difficult to balance, and this is what usually kills them off. Evolve was a really good example of that. Evolve came out, and a lot of people's first impressions of the game was you just spend a lot of time running around while the monster's off eating other creatures rather than hunting you, you know?
And that means you are not playing it properly.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know,
I really enjoyed Evolve.
Yeah.
Some of them later monsters they brought out really, really broke the game, but like initially it was pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
Like as the hunters, if you track the monster real quick, you will kill it. And as the monster, if you can avoid at the start and feed up,
yeah,
you will get a big advantage. Like if you get to stage 3, you weren't unstoppable, but it was a difficult fight to stop you. And like I think the balance for that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The problem was later on they went, oh, we need to bring more monsters into it, and the monsters they brought in, some of them were super OP.
We know why they wanted to do that though, because they wanted to sell things to you, and that was very clear from the beginning. But without going into the whole history of Evolve, my point was that I like the idea of asymmetrical. Obviously, I love Dead by Daylight. I think Dead by Daylight is one of my favorite games at the moment. I love it. I wouldn't mind seeing more asymmetrical games, but they've got to be done right. I'm hoping Predator will be good because Predator is awesome. I love Predator. Alien and Predator, 2 of my favorite films, you know, so I'm hoping that Predator will be good. This one, I'm not sure. I don't think the premise is strong enough to warrant a full game, you know. We shall see. Tell you what I would love, just off the top of my head, just out of nowhere, I would love an Alien isometric game. One alien versus like a crew of people on a ship. Go for it. Somebody make it. Creative Assembly. You did Alien Isolation. Can you please either make Alien Isolation 2 or could you make this game that I just made? If anybody works for Creative Assembly and you're watching this video, you can have that idea for free. You can take that one to the bank. Go. And then give me a review copy and I'll play it. Cool. But yeah, I'd love that. One alien versus like 4 or 5 survivors. That'd be cool.
I suppose the people that own the rights to Predator probably aren't the same people that own the rights to Alien.
No.
I was going to say, like, you could just put the Alien into the Predator game, really. Because Alien versus Predator is always
Well, Predator is looking like it's going to be set on a planet. Like, it looks like it's on jungles and stuff. Whereas I am assuming Alien would work better on a spaceship where you can't really run away. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
It's just an idea for a game. But anyway, that's fine. But we are coming up towards the end of the show. This is the time where we talk about what's coming up on our channels and what we're going to be doing and stuff. We do it every week, man. It's apart from the weeks when we don't do it. But where can people find you, Elliot, and what have you got coming up on your channel?
You can find me at twitch.tv/BlindsideUK. It says it there.
Other side.
Damn it. It says it there. Right, you didn't see because of the mic. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Blindside_UK because Blindside UK will not relinquish his Twitter handle. I'm real mad about it.
How mad would you be if I told you it was me that had that? And I'm just
you've been on Twitter for ages. Like, if you managed to, you would have had to have grabbed my handle before I even had this handle.
Yeah.
And been so prepared for this.
I mean, that would be the long game, though. Let's be honest.
This prank. But yeah, you can find me there. If you follow me on Twitter, that's where I post everything about this podcast, my Twitch streams. Sometimes I get drunk and just post dumb stuff on people's things. And if I ever see a tweet that says, I'm having a bad day, I'm in a bad mood, whatever, I post a GIF of a desk weasel. So you get to see a lot of desk weasels every now and then. So that is definitely a place to get updates. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. This week I streamed Tuesday and Thursday as well. Because I just have the time and the drive at the moment. Do you ever get that? You just like, I know you're busy at the moment, but like, did you ever get a point where you're just like, I'm going to stream more this week?
Yeah. When I was full time, like I'd sometimes wake up on a day that I wasn't supposed to stream and be like, do you know what? I want to stream today. I'm going to do an extra one.
I've had a bit of that this week. So I streamed Tuesday and Thursday. We did later than normal to try and help with the Americans. Because I get a lot of Americans coming, like it's first thing in the morning for them. They're just like, yeah, I just woke up and I'm having coffee. So Tuesday and Thursday, I played Stardew Valley both days, and it's quite a nice little. I can play Stardew Valley with my eyes closed.
Wake up in the morning.
So
yeah.
But yeah, so we did a bit. We've been doing a bit of that, and I think this week I'm definitely gonna do Thursday again. I think nice. Might do something Tuesday. Might be some Stardew. Might be something completely different. I don't know. Depends what I fancy. But that's me. That's where I am. Where are you?
Do
you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel. If you don't know how to find my YouTube channel, you don't deserve to. But no, I am the Grumpy Brit on pretty much everything. I'm either the Grumpy Brit or the Grumpy Brit TV. I am there on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, everywhere, literally everywhere. But I have some content coming up on both my Twitch channel and my YouTube channel. For anybody who is a big fan of Scary Game Thursdays, I'm going to be moving that to Scary Game Saturdays. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you could probably guess what I'm talking about, because I sometimes work till 8 o'clock on Thursdays, but I always work till 6 on a Saturday. So I thought, for consistency's sake, I'm going to move it to a Saturday and do a Scary Game Saturday. So we're going to see how that goes. So I will be playing Scary Games today, if I actually upload this on time.
If you watch this on release.
If you watch it on release day, if you watch this on the Saturday, I will be playing Scary Games this evening. So check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheGrumpyBrit. I don't know what scary game yet. I might play Blair Witch, but I actually want to play something scary. I'm planning on doing a impressions video on Blasphemous, because I've played an hour of it and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I would like to do that. I think it's probably too late to do a review. Maybe not. Maybe I could do a review on it, because I've been wanting to do reviews on my YouTube channel for ages, but I always worry that by the time I get around to reviewing a game, everybody's already seen a review because it's already been out like a week. So I just can't at the moment keep up with releases, but I might do a review on it. We shall see. And if anybody has stuck around to the end of this video and you're listening right now, can we please come up? What did you say?
The people that are still here, look at you. Like,
I thought you said something else. But if you are still here, if you could come up with a really good name for like a review series, if I review a game, rather than just calling it Grumpy Reviews, because that's a really crap name. If you come up with a really good name, that would be great, because I'm having artist block and I can't think of one.
Why don't you make your own name?
I don't think of one. I've been trying to think of... I was going to do Grumpressions, but Jim Sterling already does Jimpressions, and that's far too much of a close rip-off of that.
The Critical Brits Grumpressions.
I don't, because I still want to change my name. But yeah, so that's going to be coming up on my YouTube channel. Obviously, podcast is here. Podcast will be next week as well. And yeah, I'll be streaming some stuff. I don't know what. I'm on the fence of streaming Dead by Daylight for the rest of my life, or
stream Stardew Valley. I'm enjoying it immensely.
I like Stardew, but I've played it to death on my Switch, so I don't really want to stream it.
Played it to death. I have like 300+ hours in that game.
I don't have that. I've got like 100.
They're bringing in new stuff too. They're giving fish farms now.
Oh, well, maybe I'll dive back into it when I get updated.
It's not in it yet. I'll let you know when it's in.
Yeah, let me know when it's updated. But yeah, that's what I've got coming up. Eventually, I'm hoping to carry on with my Dino Crisis Let's Play, and I was kind of enjoying Gibbous. If you've seen my Gibbous Cthulhu Adventure playthrough, I was kind of enjoying that. Just really struggling for time to carry it on. So we will see, even though anybody who knows YouTube knows that series don't do so well. So we shall see. But regardless, I've got lots of content coming up, so keep tuned for that. And yeah, that's it. You got anything else? I'm done. This is the end of the show. We should probably just end it rather than talking about.
Yeah, we could just like keep saying about ending it, but then not end it and just have it.
Just really squeeze those last few minutes of watch time out of those people that do actually stick around for the whole. We can actually talk about that. When by the time this video releases, we will have hit 1,000 hours of watch time on the channel in the last 12 months.
It's
so that's
mostly cool. Me and my mum.
And me and my mum also, yeah. Hi mums.
Hi mum. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure my mum does watch to the end, because the one episode where at the end it was me just being like, I'm done with bathwater.
Yeah.
Like literally, I went to see my mum the weekend after, and she was like, "Oh, have you seen the end of the last podcast?" Yeah, I thought it was really funny. Yeah, and I was like, "Wait, what happens at the end?"
Oh! I have more things coming up on the channel. We will finally, and I'm going to say it now, but we will finally be bringing the podcast to audio only forms, because the only reason I haven't been in the past was because you have to pay for things like SoundCloud and whatnot.
Privilege.
Yeah, you have to pay for it, and I couldn't afford it, but now I can. So we will be bringing this to an audio only format. However, this is the main content on my YouTube channel, so I'm thinking of maybe releasing it a little bit later, just a few days later or whatever.
So that people audio can catch up and
well, also because I still want people to come and view the channel on YouTube. You know, I want them to view the podcast on YouTube and like it and share it and subscribe and all that crap. But it is the main content of the channel, so I kind of want people to come here for it. But then I also understand that a lot of people like to listen to podcasts while they're driving or while they're at work, and an audio only format is more useful to somebody. So people have requested it several times. We are doing it. All right, that is a promise. It's going to happen. And I don't know if I'm going to upload the entire backlog. I might do. I'm not sure yet, but let me know down in the comments below if you want the old ones or not. If nobody wants the old ones, I won't bother. But if people want the old ones, I'll do it. So there you go. Loads of news today, like news from us.
Let's go with news.
We have GGW plans and stuff.
Twitch London meetup. Sound only
graphics, everything for you. You can only find this information here. This is the only place until I talk about it on Twitch tomorrow. But regardless, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ivan finished on a finger guns. Who doesn't love a finger gun?
Oh my.